Hey everybody, and welcome to Elden Dogs. What's up? It's your boy Gideon Offnear, just hanging out again. Definitely love sewers. Big sewers fan. This is Elden Dogs. Who's here today?
Iron Fist Alexander is over here. Also, big fan of the sewers. Some tight squeezes down there. My body almost didn't fit through some of the pipes, but I got her done.
Did somebody bring something to knock me out, please?
Just give me a smack on the rump.
Get the butter. We need more butter. And returning to us today is our good friend Miles.
A.k.a. Blythe.
Someone who pronounces the name correct, which we appreciate around here.
Right? Gotta love the...
It's not Wesley Snipes.
Could you imagine if I tried to read that name before I heard it?
Could you imagine?
It would have been a train wreck.
To be fair, I only know how to pronounce that because of Doctor Who.
Is there a Blythe in Doctor Who?
In the first season of the reboot.
With Eccleston?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had that whole recurring thing with the bad wolf.
Yeah.
And Blythe being wolf.
Okay.
One of the Slitheen chicks, she named her project the Blythe Droog.
Oh.
Yes.
I totally forgot about that.
And then they farted a bunch in that episode. Yeah. Well, we're your favorite podcast about Elden Ring and shenanigans and
general tomfoolery
and stabbing invisible gods for their blood. That's also something we're a part of. We drink. And
on occasion.
We drink on occasion. And I got a nice pastry stout since you were talking about how much peanut butter beers the other day.
Hell yeah.
I got a hazelnut buttercup pastry stout from Untitled Art, little 11.7%er. Cheers, gentlemen. Oh, it smells fantastic.
That is simply delightful.
Ooh, yes.
The hazelnut really
Pops.
Yeah.
Like carbonated Nutella.
Yeah.
And you never can really tell how much alcohol is in some of those pastry stouts because it is just sweet.
And you said 11%?
11.7.
They make a bunch of NAs that we sell at the bar, and they have a fruited sour NA that is banging.
Just banging.
It's so good.
Before we even jump in, Elden Ring, what's been happening with you guys in Elden Ring? We haven't seen you in a while, Miles. I know every time I come into where you work, you're talking about some crazy weird shit you're doing, like the fire giant is modded to have 1 billion health and stuff like that.
Yeah, I spent far too much time on the, it's called the Elden Ring Evolved mod pack. Basically, it just overhauls the entire game into a giant middle finger. So all the projectiles are tripled and move faster and track better.
Those crayfish are mean enough, man.
I know.
Yeah.
Are they crayfish or lobsters?
There's lobsters and then there's crayfish. There's both?
There's crabs and
there's
lobsters.
lobsters and crabs. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But those things track well enough.
Yeah.
You don't need to make it harder.
Oh,
they
yeah.
have infinite range already.
They're already practically a hit scan, but
Yeah.
this stuff doubles the base move speed and makes it curve midair to hit you.
I watched a video by Zuli the Witch, and she was, they were showing how far they can actually shoot before, projectiles, they fall.
Right.
The crayfish can shoot miles straight and it won't stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They straight up can shoot further than they can actually aggro.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was in Lernia the Lakes, and I was riding on Torrent away from one, and I didn't pull a Rick and Stark. I was zigzagging my ass off.
Yeah.
And I was hauling ass. I had about 3 or 4 independent thoughts, I'm surely out of this. What am I going to have for dinner tonight?
Yeah.
I should probably shovel the driveway. And then I got hit by the projectile. It was that long.
Yeah. And especially if they're going 3 times faster. Are you still playing quite a bit? Are you still rocking that mod or?
On and off. I started switching back to actual vanilla because a friend of mine, I bought it for him for his birthday, and we were gonna play through co-op. So I was trying to show him how to install the other mod, the seamless co-op one, which is awesome if you want to actually play it as if it were a co-op game.
You don't have to summon people in. You and I would be able to go on and just run around the map together the whole time.
Yeah, I've seen people play that on YouTube.
Yeah, it removes all of the region walls. It removes the disconnect on death or beating a boss. of any kind. So it basically just turns the entire game into a full co-op.
That would be fun.
This sounds so fun.
It's really good. I've played through almost the entire game.
Are you guys going to play complementing styles, like somebody draw aggro and somebody range? Or
That's what I usually do, yeah. I've been playing with a friend of mine, Aiden, and I basically just had a life steal, like, vamp tank build.
Okay.
With great shields and the bloody stars to get health back on hit. And they had basically just like a glass cannon mage. So I would draw aggro as soon as I could and just block literally everything. I had the maxed out fingerprint shield.
Oh yeah,
with a guard.
That's one of the heaviest shields in the game.
The heaviest and the highest guard boost once you upgrade it.
Okay.
It had a guard boost of I think 97.
And fun fact, the fingerprint shield is how people learned about the three fingers ever being there. It was like the first artifact that was found. They're like, "What's this giant fingerprint? Let's worship the devil."
You know what? With how good that shield is, I get it.
I worship whoever made this shield. Tyler, you messaged me the other day that you're just diving back into Elden Ring very hard.
Yeah, I got bit by the Elden Ring bug again. And that's all I want to play. I mean, I sunk 96 hours into my first character, put an additional 20 or 30 in my second character, and I did that pretty fast. So I needed a break for a little bit. Now fell back into it just out of nowhere.
Yeah, and if you break it down, $60 for the game. I've put in 300 hours. That's a pretty good value.
I'm coming up on 200 now, which is insane.
And we've talked about it almost 20 hours at this point too. This is episode 15, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, what's crazy is I feel like I'm just now starting to grasp concepts and like follow the story. And I think it's because I started a couple new characters and played through the beginning of the game a couple times. And doing this podcast has definitely helped too. Yeah. Starting to actually remember names and learn them.
If I go back and think about when we started this thing, I was so green to the story. I'm like, I think that maybe this village has the frenzied flame. Their fucking eyes are red and they're shooting fire. And I was like, I'm going to put two and two together here. I'm making a call. It's like, it's cool because now I'm starting to get the full scope of the universe. And even today's episode, we're dealing with two of the endings and another outer god. And it seems sometimes tough to grasp, but really, it's pretty straightforward. It's simpler than people want to believe it is. And the clues are all there. The Dung Eater might not even eat poop, but he definitely does some fucked up shit.
I will say, though, like, if you save a family from a burning hut and you fuck a goat, you will be known as Goat Fucker. It only takes the one time for the moniker to stick.
Bet you won't eat this pile of shit. I bet you I will.
It's the Dung Eater.
Or it was just the insult that they slung that got stuck, right? Just
it's
eat shit and die.
Yeah, I think that might be it. He is one of the most vile characters in the universe. But we're going down in the Lanedell sewers today, the Subterranean Shunning Grounds, and this is an easy to miss spot. Actually, when you're going through Lanedell, there's a good chance that you'll miss. There's only one direct path down.
Right.
There's a couple spots kind of leading you towards it or hinting at it, but if you miss that one well, you might not even know what's down there. But there is a couple of clues and things that lead you there. The main one being, as soon as you get up to the Altus Plateau, the Dung Eater's spirit just shows up at the round table hold. Rodrika's like, I hear moaning and the screams of a bunch of spirits and souls over there. I really don't want you to go over there. I don't like this guy.
So naturally, I went straight over there.
Immediately run over and see what's up.
Yeah, there's no monster under your bed. I'm going to go take a look. And it turns out there's a monster over there.
Someone should make a full house intro of like all the people at the round table hold. Just introduce them the same way they introduced like I was going to say his name, but I fucking forgot it. Damn it.
Dung Eater?
No,
Rodrika,
I was going to make a joke about the full house, and I forgot the fucking characters.
Danny Tanner?
Danny Tanner,
Jesse
yes.
Kasopoulos?
Wow.
Joey Gladstone?
Damn. His last name
Kimmy
Gladstone?
Gibbler? What are we talking about here?
Is his last name Gladstone?
Yeah.
Oh.
He has the woodchuck. I forget the woodchuck's name, but he likes to eat
Are
wood.
you even a fan?
That's the other podcast, Full Dogs, where we talk about Danny Tanner's cleaning habits. But the Dung Eater, he's just hanging out in the round table hold, and he pretty much says, "Back the fuck off! I don't want to hang out." But if you bring one of the seedbed curses to him, he can smell it on you. He's like, "You smell disgusting. We should party." The Dung Eater, he some fun facts about the Dung Eater. He's a serial killer. He wishes to infect the entire world with the omen curse for generations to come. It says on one of his items that he has murdered thousands of people. And on his armor, there's a sun crest. So he is tarnished. He has seen the light of grace. He was chosen to come back. But I think he was maybe a better person at one point, but he had a bad breakup or something. He really just fell off into the deep end.
Probably after season 6 or 7 of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, he's like, that's it. We're burning it down, man.
Yeah.
We're watching it right now for Carly's first time. You a Game of Thrones fan, Miles? No. Okay.
Haven't seen a single episode.
It's good. It is good, but the books are better.
Yeah, the show's good till it's not.
I was always the Lord of the Rings fantasy nerd.
Oh yeah, Lord of the Rings is great as well. But yes, the Dung Eater.
Personally, I honestly think he was sort of similar to Vari, how he became like disillusioned with the guidance of the Two Fingers.
Yeah.
Thought they stopped giving a crap. Thought the Outer Gods stopped paying attention, so he just kind of decided to burn it all.
He definitely has a major chip on his shoulders. And what the Subterranean Shunning Grounds are is, besides a sewage system, which you need a pretty big sewage system for Lanedell, but it's where they put Omen. If you were unfortunate enough to be born in Omen, you were probably put down there because for some reason people think the Omen are monsters. They look intense. I think they look worse when you cut all their horns off. If you're born a commoner, they cut your horns off, and it's very painful. If you are fortunate enough to be born royalty, they let your horns just keep growing. And America and Godfrey had, of course, Godwin, star quarterback of the Lanedell. What's the Lanedell team name? The Lanedell Lumberjacks.
Yeah, there you go. The Lanedell Lumberjacks.
Something like that. And then they had a set of twins that were both born Omen, Tyrion Lannister style, little monsters, and this has historical precedent where you can even find like cousins that were born with mental deficiencies and like royal families. Like you can find pictures of them. They're like, oh yeah, they just locked him up.
I've played a lot of Crusader Kings 3 lately, and I can tell you.
You've been locking up a lot of your family.
Yeah.
Well, this one has 4 eyes. Basement.
They're glasses.
He's covered in scales. It happens a lot.
Yeah, and so the Subterranean Shunning Grounds, that's where the Omen get put down there. And the Dung Eater wears Omen armor that it's got all the horns cut off. So he's out there. He's kind of standing up for a good reason. He's doing a lot of shitty things about it, but he wants everyone to be infected with the Omen curse, because if everybody's cursed, then it's not a curse. And he feels, I don't know if he feels bad. He wants vengeance. He wants something. He wants to make everybody the same level of disgusting. Bring him down to his level a little bit.
I watched and I read into a little bit on the Omen curse and the source of it.
Yeah.
And the sort of connection between animalistic properties and the primordial crucible that predated the Golden Order and the Erd Trees.
Uh-huh.
And there was a theory for a hot minute about the horns of the omens being connected to that sort of primordial crucible magic, or that chaos magic. And the idea that was the crucible trying to return, and that's why they shunned the omens so much and cut their horns off. They were trying to prevent the return of the crucible, or the magic that predated the Erd Tree, because it went against the Golden Order.
Yeah, it's it's the crazy religious folks that are saying evolution isn't real. It's like we definitely came from these animals, and that's why some people are born with tails still. I don't know. It's like the crucible is the primordial soup, and that's where, like, a lot of the strange powers come from that. Because the crucible, as far as I know, is like before the Erd Tree, even like
absolutely
those powers, and it was interesting to learn about the Three Fingers, which we'll talk about a little bit later too, because it goes all the way back to the beginning of the universe. Yeah, the Dung Eater though, he's probably just homies with an omen, and the dude was just getting picked on real bad. He's like, you know what? We're gonna kill everybody. We're gonna make them all infected. I don't know. We don't know specifically why, but he became a horrible serial killer. This would be like a 5-part episode of a serial killer podcast because he's just got a long story of thousands of people. We remember our friend, the blackguard Big Boggart, the crayfish cook. They actually shared a prison cell. And the blackguard Big Boggart, he is an ex-convict who is just trying to start a food truck. He's trying to do the right thing, and he's trying to escape his past. And it's hard when you were in a cell with Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's really going to lower your chances of getting on Triple D.
Yeah, you're trying to like hang out with friends, and you're like, oh, I hung out with Jeffrey Dahmer, and everyone's like, actually, I'd be pumped, but
yeah. Well, would Guy Fieri show up to your food truck if he knew that you hung out with Jeffrey Dahmer? Well, actually, you roomed with them against your will. You didn't hang out. You hang out you had to.
Yeah. The blackguard, though, he is the Big Boggart. Blackguard means a man who behaves in a dishonorable or contemptible way. He names himself this, and he also says Boggart, which is like a evil or malicious entity. And he wears a mask to purposely make himself look scary. So he's really just trying to put out like a tough guy image, but even his helmet says like it hides the emptiness inside. I'm like, oh no, dude.
Oh, buddy.
He just needs a hug.
He probably made a few, like, probably for dealing weed in Lanedale or something. And it was just like a spiral of the system putting him down then.
Yeah.
God, poor guy.
I mean, he was definitely a thief, right? I mean, he steals Raya's necklace too.
Yeah, he did.
He does steal Raya's necklace, and he'll sell it back to you. But then he also says, there is something wrong with that. That is not a regular woman over there. And we find out later she is a lizard person.
She's a sweetheart.
She is one of the most innocent people in the game, for sure. And
also rare, happy, maybe ending.
well, yeah, because
I mean, for FromSoft, that's about as happy as it gets.
Yeah. Bach has a good ending, too. If you tell him he's beautiful, he's just happy.
Yeah, just rub it in, why don't you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you shouldn't have just killed the guy, dude.
I was just trying to make my friend handsome.
Dude, talk about a difficult freaking ending to find, though.
The Bach ending?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because one happy one, because how are you supposed to read every item description, I guess, you ever pick up is really the only advice.
It's tough because a lot of these endings and little beats are hidden. There is Melina dialogue. She only ever talks about like the serious story stuff, but she does mention Bach wanting to like in the love of a mother. And I think she hints that you should tell him he's beautiful. But even then, you'd be lucky to find that prattling pate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got one offline from him talking about how it reminded him of his mother. You got the description on the pate, if you happen to find it before you get to the ending of his, says it soothes or sounds like a mother would.
Yeah.
I had it.
You got to connect those invisible dots with invisible lines.
I had it, and I could have just given it to him. And instead, I was like, here's a larval tear. There you go.
Well, that's the thing too, is you don't have to give it to him. You have to use it like near him so that he can hear the voice of a mother tell him he's beautiful as he is.
Oh my god!
So he can decide he's beautiful.
And that pisses me off that I had it. I could have. It was my stupid yes man run, which was a lot of fun actually.
Jim Carrey would do horrible in Elden Ring.
He would. Your final boss is Zoe Deschanel.
I play. Spank me harder. I was going to make a bad joke, but I'm going to pass on that one. Yeah, but like one last thing about Bach, that item seems like it's built for multiplayer. Like when you go into an arena and you either do like your twirly dance gesture or you say like you use a prattling pate to say something to somebody.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's one of those rare times where a multiplayer item is integral in the main spot, but
I thought it was going to be something you could place and draw enemies because it would like talk and then the enemies would come for it.
Yeah,
so
like a vocal lure.
Yeah, but it didn't work. And I was like, well, this is useless. And then I killed my friend.
he was very handsome in the casket.
When you got down to the sewers and you saw the Dung Eater, should I let him go? Should I have opened that door? Did you open the door?
There are many ways about it.
Depends what you're trying to achieve.
The Dung Eater, though, he is back, and he says if you bring him like the seedbed curse, he's like, come see me in the sewer jail. So that's like how you know to go down there. He gives you the sewer jail key. And yeah, you can go find him down there. And if you let him out, he is going to continue what he's up to. He's going to defile corpses. So you can find 6 seedbed curses in the game. One of them is our boy, the Big Boggart. And the other 5, though, you find in like, Big Boggart, homie, man.
Oh, bud.
Taken too soon. Ride or die, homie, for sure. Great crawfish. Crayfish? Crayfish. Crawfish. His shit's good. And that
dude, the crab.
Well, and the items that, like, when you eat those, it's like just a strength buff, and you can just keep buying more. Like, it's a really good item to have as well.
I thought it was defense.
Is it? It's
physical defense.
It's one of those. It's just like a. I don't use items, but I know.
I was forced to.
Oh yeah.
It was lit. I had like a freaking 7-point startup before every boss arena.
Yeah. That sounds tough. I haven't even done New Game Plus yet. I'm just waiting for DLC at this point.
Oh, God,
I just throw pots at guys.
Those get super mandatory as well, actually.
Yeah.
The only upside to that mod pack is that it multiplies item drops.
Oh, cool.
So, like, you don't have to spend 7 hours running around gathering materials.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
The poison pots are the only ones I don't really find myself using all that often.
Yeah. There's just better ways to inflict better poison.
Yeah. Fire pots, though, all day, every day.
And there's multiple kinds of poison. Can you do both kinds of poison with the pots?
I think the fetid pots do the deadly poison, but it also does build up on you.
Okay. Well, there's probably a build where you like being poisoned.
There is actually the mushroom set.
There you go.
You get a flat attack buff if you are rotted or poisoned, I believe.
And I like the war surgeon armor that you get in the Mohg Palace area. If you're around blood loss, like all of your stats go up. So if you're doing like a blood loss samurai build or something,
yeah, it's ridiculous. With the exaltation too. Ooh.
You're done, kid. You're done. Just blood everywhere. Yeah, so if you let the Dung Eater out, he's going to go out there. He's going to be defiling more corpses. And eventually, he, in the round table hold, he says, hey, come to the outside of the royal capital where the Big Boggart's just hanging out, running his food truck. He's happy.
Oh, so I just killed that guy, huh? Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's dead.
100%, yeah.
100%.
As soon as you let him out, because he was already partially defiled by being near the Dung Eater.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
he was just like target numero uno.
Sorry, bud.
Yeah, the Dung Eater defiles his corpse, and you can, like, then the Dung Eater invades you, and you kill the Dung Eater, hopefully. But then the Boggart's like, dude, please just kill me. I do not want to be carrying this curse, which I think he still would be since he's already been defiled. But the seedbed curse, you find these bodies that are just strapped to chairs, and the item is on their crotch. And it's just a seedbed curse. And the Dung Eater does something to corrupt these people. So when they come back, they're going to be carrying the omen curse, a type of omen curse.
Is it an STD? We were all thinking it.
I mean, he uses the word defile a lot.
So he's
This is a special type of dark web.
and Boggart, before you let him out of the jail, he talks about how horrified he was by the things the Dung Eater would do to the corpses.
Yeah, when he won't even say it that he saw, just like it was
horrible things.
Probably shouldn't have let that guy out. I was thinking that there was something behind him, like because the room he's in the hallway beating his head against the wall, and then there's
that's a bad way to find someone. You're like, yeah, come on out, dude.
Well, I saw like there was notes in the back, behind him, and I was like, okay, so. It was almost a year ago that I met the Dung Eater. Like, legitimately, almost a year ago. And then I missed the sewers completely and just kept playing the game. So this time through the sewers, like 4 days ago, was my first time dropping down there.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. I had a new area to explore. Finally found the Dung Eater, and I'm like, surely there's something back there. There's like a chest, or maybe I get like some cool armor. I found the Dung Eater, guys.
I mean...
There's nothing. Instead, I just killed my favorite crawfish salesman and let a serial killer loose.
Well, there are like 2 kind of good things you can get from letting him out, sort of. Well, not from releasing him fully, but you can get his armor and his sword like after you kill him. And then if you do it before you do any of Ronnie's stuff, you can get...
Yeah, this is the thing that I haven't been able to do because it requires very specific timing.
It is a bitch.
What is it?
Go ahead.
If you progress far enough through Ronnie's quest line, but don't give her the Finger Slayer blade yet to end or hit that like no going back point, you can talk to Celavis, the creepy motherfucker.
I haven't done anything with Celavis yet. I kind of missed most of his
creepy.
Stuff. Yeah,
Celavis is
he's got a sex dungeon with puppets that he's like got people turned into puppets for him.
Yeah.
Celavis the guy that gives you the potion?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's what that potion is. It's basically a zombifying agent that turns a person into a puppet.
You can use it on the Dung Eater and have a Dung Eater puppet.
What?
Arguably one of the better mid to mid-late game summons.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But even this time, I had gotten once the Finger Slayer blade is given to Ronnie, Celavis dies, and you can't do the quest with him anymore.
Immediately gone.
Okay.
That's a bummer.
I was more concerned at that point with getting that tower flipped 180, so I didn't really give a shit.
Yeah.
That was my whole life for like a week. I'm like, how the fuck do I do this? And then I had to talk to Brad.
I'm very excited though to get a Dung Eater puppet on my next playthrough or on one of my on a New Game Plus or the one I'm on now, because it's just like one of those things that the timing has to be just right. But you can make him into a puppet. Otherwise, he gets locked up after you beat him. He's locked up again down there in the sewers. And he says, I realize now that I have to be defiled in order for the curse to perfect itself. And so you have to bring the seedbed curses, and then you have to defile him. And so
buddy.
He is now the submissive in the relationship. And
it's going to be a fun portion of my Yes Man playthrough.
You want me to do what to you?
Getting him as a puppet would be perfect on my new Paladin Faith Righteousness build, though.
I think that is the point at which you have to give him the potion, right? After you beat him and lock him back up?
Yep. Instead of giving the seedbed curses, you can force him to drink the potion.
And instead of giving the potion to Gideon. So you just hold on to it?
Yep, just hold on to the potion, because it can either go to Nefeli Loop Puppet's hard to get as well.
Oof.
And also,
I don't have the heart for that.
I don't have the heart.
If you give it to Gideon, though, what does he do with it?
He just disposes of it.
Yeah, he just trashes it.
What he does is keeps it for his own fucking whatever he needs it for. There's no way he's gets rid of it. He's
probably files it away.
He says he'll get rid of it, though. Fun fact, the Dung Eater's sword is called the Sword of Milos. It's fashioned from a giant's backbone. Milos was undersized for a giant, was viewed sullied and grotesque. So another person that was treated horribly by people for being a different shape. And he's like, I'm going to use your backbone, motherfucker. And yeah. And then all of this, the Dung Eater quest, if you give him the seedbed curses, it results in you getting the Mending Rune of the Fell Curse. So at the end, when you reforge the Elden Ring, you slide this one in instead, and it just curses everyone to be born with the Omen Curse. Otherwise, things kind of stay the way they are. And honestly, if it just means everyone's cursed, it's not the worst. I can understand why he's upset. He's going about it the wrong way.
It would be like a hype party.
A what party?
A height party.
Like Kenneth Height?
Have you seen a height party?
No.
You should look it up. They're in a height party.
Is it only tall people or short people?
It's got they're weird shoes.
So everyone's the same height.
So everybody's the same height. Some people are standing on like 1.5 foot platform shoes because one dude's like 6'4".
Interesting.
I never understood that concept because what if your standard height is 6'4" and a 6'8" dude walks in? Everybody's got to go change shoes now.
Yeah,
You have to plan this ahead of time. There's no way.
that's
Just the RSVP has natural height listed on it.
and then people put their Tinder height and not their real height, so you order the wrong shoes, and then it's all fucked.
You told me you weren't going to bring him. He's huge.
Great. Now everybody has to crouch by 1 inch.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Also, random side note, that fight with the Dung Eater, when you release him and he says, I can kill you and defile your corpse. I 100% thought if he beat me, it would corrupt my game.
Ooh.
I 100% believe that if he killed me, my character would be gone.
I like that.
So the pressure was on.
I
for
was
you then.
terrified. It was the most sweaty I have ever been.
That's when I just hop on Torrent and I ride to the Weeping Peninsula and never look back. I already cleared that castle of the fucking evil things. Misbegotten. I'll just live there. Castle Morn.
But that's our friend, the loathsome Dung Eater, and yeah, I want him as a puppet.
I managed to do all of that on the Evolved mod, and then got super disappointed in how weak his summon was in that context.
Oh yeah.
Well, because they like reworked a bunch of the summons too, so they summoned different things.
Okay.
Scaling with the rarity of the summon that it was.
Yeah.
I ended up using the Nomad.
Oh really?
Ashes for most of the game because it didn't summon a Nomad. It summoned Placidusax.
That's a powerful summon. Yeah. You haven't even seen Placidusax yet, probably. You haven't been to the Fair Missoula? Have you been there?
No.
Yep. Placidusax is epic. Yeah. And also, strangely, has to do with what we're going to talk about a little bit later, because it's all connected. But the Dung Eater aside, the sewers. We're going down in the sewers besides that. And I put down, your maps have no power here. This place is fucking confusing.
Way bigger than I thought it was going to be.
Oh yeah, it's like 4 different hidden entrances.
It's confusing. And the maps, you have your overworld map. Nope. Good luck. You go to the underworld map, and they're like, it's not down here either, dude.
I remember I was so frustrated when I would go one way and then only to unlock a door that put me back at the beginning. And I'm like, where the fuck do you want me to go?
Yeah.
It's a shortcut.
Yeah, it's a shortcut for the fucking 1000th time I'll die here.
Yeah. You get down here to the Subterranean Shunning Grounds, though. It's a sprawling network of subterranean waterways and crypts beneath the streets of Lanedell. It's used as a dumping ground for the city's refuse and a prison for those deemed undesirable. So we're going to see some omens down here right away, but there's like one little main hall, the underground roadside, and everywhere you go pretty much is going to loop back to another way in or out of here. The first spot you can go, though, it loops back to the main hall without finding anything too interesting, but then you have to drop down through that grate. If you head to the left, you find old Dungy Boy. But if you go to the right, that's when you're going to start going down these pipes. These pipes, my biggest issue with the first time going through this game is I had no fucking idea where I was going the whole time in the Subterranean Shunning Grounds. And you just did this for the first time a couple days ago.
Yeah, I got it right. Well, I found the Dung Eater, luckily first, so I knocked that out. And then after that, like, I died a lot really early on because I did my normal thing where I try to fight everything. And that's just not the way you should play the game sometimes, especially when your build is not really suited to fight said creatures. But then after I found the Dung Eater, I made it like on my first try going the way that I wanted to go, which I found insane because it loops around and there's like holes in pipes. And I was like, I don't want to go down there. And I would jump over the hole and then the giant rat attacked me. And I'm like, I'm going to jump back over the hole.
And back to the hole.
And back to the hole. I was really psyched that I made it. Like, it took me a while because I died a bunch, but the fact that I kind of just lucked out and went the right way. Once you get into like the vertical pipes, I felt like it got pretty straightforward.
Once I dropped down that hole for the first time and you can't see shit, and there's a revenant that spawns in that room. That's when my real loathing of this area just grew into my being. And it wasn't until this recent playthrough that I kind of, it clicked. I was like, all right, I'm 80% understand the layout now. Also, I went and watched some people made some like 3D recreation maps online and like videos of what actually is going on there. And it's still really confusing, but I understand it a little bit better. Yeah, you go through those pipes down there and you probably fall down a few holes, but eventually you kind of will loop back after you go through a few basilisks. But then this loops you back right to the underground roadside again, but it's on the other side of this gate, so you're able to kind of keep going further. And then you get to that giant cylinder with a circular stairwell. And I needed a guide before I knew what to do here. Because you have to like drop down the back of the stairs and like land lower.
It's super confusing.
Yeah, I like to think I'm smart, but I'm not.
This is the one time I was smarter than Brad in Elden Ring. I walked down the stairs, and then I was like, I can't go this way. I probably have to jump off the other side. And then I walked back and looked down, and boom.
I'm going to tell my friend Bach about this. Because he's alive.
Oh, shit. Shots fired.
Yeah.
Well, in my next playthrough, I'm going to save my best friend, and we're just going to pretend none of this happened.
I do have a weird thing where he's like, can I call you Lord? I'm like, it's making my friendship with you feel uncomfortable, but if it makes you happy, I don't know what to do here, Bach. Yeah.
How about buddy?
Yeah. How about Deuterino or something?
Yeah. Muchacho.
Yeah, muchacho. That would be good. Call me my muchacho instead of my Lord. I wish.
It'd be never mind.
Yes, you can find the nomad ashes down in this area as well. We're going to find these nomads here in a little bit. But the nomads are, of course, Kale's people, the Great Caravan, a member of a tribe that was entombed in the earth so as to bury the maddening disease that followed them. Able to emit the terrible flame of frenzy from their eyes, low HP and very frail. But they can shoot fire out of their eyes, so
That's a big plus.
it's a big plus.
Where are those ashes in the sewer?
You want me to try and explain where something is in the sewer?
It's in the sewer, man. Blind bump.
Figure it out, man.
Damn.
I can't hold your hand for the whole sewer or any of it. Yeah, this loops back to the main hall. At this point, you can drop down into the crawfish pit. Crayfish? I'm going to say that wrong every time now. I'm second guessing myself.
Just call it a lobster.
The lobster pit.
The lobster pit.
The lobster pit. That sounds like a decent restaurant, maybe? We're going to the lobster pit?
It sounds like the best seafood restaurant in a town no one's ever heard of.
It sounds like a place where you have to
It's
kill
dirty.
your own lobster.
So there's a college bar in Minneapolis when I was living there. And it was a college bar. And they had a claw machine, which is just a giant lobster tank. And you had to grab the lobster. And if you got it, you had to take the lobster. But they were alive. And it just seemed kind of weird. I felt weird every time I looked at that thing. Yeah.
What are you going to do with the lobster for the next?
I don't know if they kill it
Take
before.
it and they cook it for you, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
But at a dingy college bar?
Yeah,
Yeah.
straight up.
It was one of the only. It was a Packers bar, one of the only ones in Minneapolis. So I liked
I
it.
thought for sure that there was no kitchen there, and they just gave you a live
live
lobster.
lobster.
And they're like, you can take that home now. Aren't you going to tape its claws off? So no, you're fine. Just
No,
go get
you know
an
that
Uber
college kid has got a pet at that point.
Yeah. That's Howie, my lobster.
I don't know how to take care of him, to be honest. Can anyone help me? I haven't been able to use my bathtub in weeks.
I Googled it. He's basically just a big sea bug.
Down here in the hell of Lobster Pit, you can find Mohg's shackle. And of course, this is our second shackle. Not only is it bad enough to be born in Omen, but they also have a unique item that says like Brad's shackle. They make something specifically for you, and at least Mohg is away from his shackle, I guess. Or maybe, unfortunately, Mohg is away from his shackle a little bit. He's not a good dude by any means. Yeah, it's his half-brother he's sleeping with. Against his will.
Well, I mean, wants to sleep with. I don't know if he actually has. He's kind of just got him in an egg.
Well, we're going to speculate on this egg a little bit here. There's some things going on in that cocoon there. And
Creepy things.
I'm glad that we don't see inside of the cocoon. But there is like one mini dungeon inside of this dungeon, the Leyndell Catacombs. And this is fairly standard as far as these like little areas go, the catacombs. This has the multiple levels that are identical puzzle. So you get lost. This is not confusing enough. This one's also like you think you know where you're going and you're dropping back to where you've been before, but it's a brand new area. They're good at making these, and my spatial awareness is lacking. I guess.
I was tremendously confused.
Super stuck for like an hour.
It took me a hot minute.
Yeah, we find a priest of blood down here. This is our first hint of what Mohg has been up to. And his name is Eskar. He's aided by 2 ferocious dogs, and he has some hemorrhage-inducing attacks. Did either of you have trouble with Eskar?
Took me 2 tries.
I think by the time I got to him, I was running a super strength-focused 2-hand, so I kind of just bounced everything around.
Sure. And if you have a few Spirit Ashes, something to distract from the pups.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't there like the whole thing where on New Game Plus, those dogs had like the highest DPS in the game?
I don't know.
They did something like his 2 rot dogs or whatever.
Yeah.
They did like 11,600 damage a second.
I like that.
Wow. I have Moonveil, and when you use his the sheath attack, you can use it sideways or vertically.
Yeah.
So it's pretty good at crowd control, and I have a Mimic Tear. So it's like... And then while he's drawing aggro, I'm just spamming you with spells. So I just kept my distance.
I have moved away from Spirit Ashes on this playthrough. I was trying not to use them, and then I got to, I think it might have been Melania. It was something where I was like, all right, I want some help, and I got my Mimic Tear. And the number of times I go into a boss battle and beat him first try is not Soulsborne enough for me. I want to struggle for a bit, and if you don't even have a chance to learn enemy patterns, Elden Ring has got that odd thing where you have to pick your difficulty yourself, and I want to become better at not taking the easy road. I was doing good for a while, but no, I've recently said the Mimic Tear is not okay for me.
I still use mine, but I don't summon in any of like the people you can summon in anymore.
Yeah.
I mostly only use the NPC summons.
I like because it's lore.
Yeah, it's
it
like
works
story.
lore-wise. Yeah. Because the Dung Eater will help you fight both Mohg and Morgott. Which is funny that the Dung Eater going to fight Morgott up at the base of the Erd Tree with you.
Isn't that his brother? Mohg?
No, Mohg and Morgott, but the Dung Eater.
Dung Eater, my bad.
Yeah.
He might have family. We don't know.
The piss drinker.
I hate my little brother. Everyone thinks he's so cool. He drank 1 cup of piss.
Because it's sterile and he likes the taste.
You beat Asgard, the Priest of Blood. It gets you the Lord of Blood's Exaltation. Raises attack power by 20% for 20 seconds when there is blood loss occurring in the vicinity. You can use Seppuku on yourself, and it also works that way if you want to go about. But otherwise, any blood loss weapon, plus this, plus the War Surgeon armor, it's a recipe for a good time and an easy time.
It's also fully unfair if you're doing dual wielding bleed weapons.
Yeah.
Like if you're doing claws, you can proc bleed in like 3 seconds.
Damn.
The most recent patch, I was watching a speedrunner named Catalyst. I forget what weapon it was, where they mess it up so you can keep doing like stat buffs and you just switch hands, and as long as you don't ever unequip it, you just switch hands with it in the menu. You don't lose the previous stat buff, so they just stack. And I saw him one-shot Mohg, and he was just laughing in this video. Yeah.
But they patched that now?
No, that they patched it in accidentally.
Oh.
Which is fun. Some people do those like one-shot builds, and I do not understand it.
Yeah.
It looks so cool, though.
Yeah, right? It's interesting. I watched Lil Aggie. He's a speedrunner. He did a full video of beating the entire game, beating every single boss in 1 hit.
That's cool. Melania?
Every boss.
It's cool when you skip a phase for a boss too.
Yeah.
How the fuck do you even do that though? Like that blows my mind.
It was insane watching. Like he would do this thing in his videos where before he goes in and fights them, he puts up like a splash screen of everything he's using to be able to pull off what he's doing. And he has to change it up for every boss based on their strengths and weaknesses.
No shit.
And like elemental disadvantages and all of that crap. It's insane.
Yeah, they're masterful. We on my other podcast watched an Elden Ring speed run, the world record, and I understand some of it.
What was the world record?
It was glitchless. It wasn't all bosses, or it was just glitchless, and it was about an hour.
The entire game.
The main ending.
When you say entire game, it was beating Radagon and the Elden Beast.
Yeah. So the regular Elden Lord ending.
Oh.
But if it's glitchless,
in an hour.
had to beat, 2 of the demigod children to get into Leyndell.
Yep.
I had to get up to the fire giant. Had to go to Fair Missoula. And then you have to, but you can run through it pretty fast. Especially if you know exactly where you're going.
With a new character though? Like starting at the beginning?
New game, yep.
You got no time to even turn your runes into strength.
Well, I've done it now to where within like 45 minutes, I can get like up to like level 35 and get a +9 weapon. I know how to do that much, which is how I start new builds because I'm like, I don't want to toil at first. Yeah.
Could you possibly write that down for me?
I can show you. It's not that tough. It involves punching a disabled mother. That big dragon who is just like the mother of dragons, not Daenerys, but like that big one.
Gotta make sure you get a foot first.
What's that?
Gotta make sure you get a foot first.
Yep, you gotta get the gold prickled foot.
Pickled or prickled?
Gold prickled foot.
Pickled? It's a pickled foot, right?
You get that and a blood loss weapon because you will not do enough damage, but then you can do enough bleed. And then besides that, it's knowing where to find somber smithing stones or smithing stones, and just knowing what weapon you want to level up. And you can get up to a somber smithing stone 7, or maybe it's up to 9, I think, all the way. The only one you can't get is the somber ancient dragon smithing stone. Yeah.
The earliest you can get that is either Farum or I think
because you ain't going to the Halig tree.
No.
So if you start as a samurai and go straight to Caelid, get a gold pickled foot, beat up on the mom, that's like step 1, 2, 3.
And then it's getting the smithing stones.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just optimizing your route to run between them.
Yeah. And it's a good head start to the game, if that's what you want. Miles, would you like to tell us what you brought here for this for us to drink on this lovely podcast?
These are the Plain Spoke Bourbon Smash. It's essentially a canned whiskey sour with a little bit of mint. And the Plain Spoke, actually the reason I brought it is because they are the same distillery, cannery, whatever facility you want to call it that cans all of our Odyssey.
Oh,
all
really?
Of our sangria. Yeah, it all goes
Makes
through the Plain
sense.
Spoke.
Same can size, right?
Exactly.
You don't want to have to change can sizes on your canning line. I know that from the brewing industry, at least. Just going from tall boys to 12 ounces is a headache enough.
Yeah.
Let alone these nice skinny cans. But
All right.
yeah, cheers.
Cheers.
That mint is so good. The lemon,
Yeah, just a little touch.
That is exquisite.
and I love it.
Now we find out if my system's had enough years to reset on this one.
We are back here in the sewers, and now it's time for the ultra confusing spot. So you unlocked a way to get to the upper part above the lobster pit. You actually have to go to a spot and jump into a pipe. This was confusing to me at first because I jumped in and I thought, okay, I'm right back in the pipes I was in before because there's no visual distinction, really. And even when I knew where I was this time around, I had to walk through it like 3 or 4 times to make sure I wasn't missing stuff or forgetting anything. And I see what they're doing, and I'm not happy about it.
Yeah, full on actual maze. There is actually a trick to that one though.
Just what? Always hug the left and just eventually you'll go to where you're going?
No, they snuck it in and it's super easy to miss because it's literally like a 1 second chance.
Yeah.
There's a rat that shows the exact correct way to go to get to the elevator.
If you follow the rat?
If you follow the rat. But you only see the back half of its body and its tail for literally like a second at a time when you first drop in. Because as soon as you enter its aggro range, it runs away in the direction you're supposed to go.
That's cool.
So it's literally like a blink and you miss it guide through the maze.
So you're saying I should chase rats?
Obviously.
It leads you to the big boy rat then, because the big boy rat came at me.
If you follow the one in this maze section, the second maze section, the one that actually leads to the elevator down.
Oh, okay.
So this rat runs straight to the elevator, basically.
No shit.
Yeah.
And it'll lead us right to the elevator, basically. And this elevator will take us down to the Cathedral of the Forsaken. Who made a church in the sewers? I don't know who was down here, but there is a church down here. And we find ourselves fighting our buddy Mohg the Omen.
Yeah. So I didn't know that I was going to run into Mohg until you texted me. Have you seen any bosses?
Yeah.
And I was like...
Because you always tiptoe when someone's in an area. And I don't want to say where you are. But.
So I had no idea that I was going to be fighting Mohg the Omen. And
it's like Mohg Light.
I've heard that Mohg is one of the harder bosses in the game. So I was like, when I saw that I'm fighting Mohg, I was like, well, shit, this is going to take a minute.
Yeah.
But you texted me like, have you found any bosses? I'm like, no, I just took an elevator though. I have a feeling something big is coming up.
Yeah, I knew exactly. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, because you get down to you take the elevator down and it goes down the stair that you had to drop down on. You go all the way down to the bottom of that. And then it's very epic. And there's a site of grace right there. And Elden Ring has taught me one thing. It's going to be like, this is my new favorite site of grace because I'm going to be here a couple times. Because it looks like there's something big coming.
Yeah. You know, it's really fun when you go back and play some of these other Soulsborne games, and there's just like one of these sites of grace for every like hour. You don't get them all the time. So there's a lot of backtracking and running if you die. Elden Ring, though, is pretty generous.
By far.
Yeah, I was fucking around in Bloodborne the other day, and I got further than I've ever made it in the game, which is about an hour in, and I died and was like, what? You gotta be kidding me.
It's kind of like when you desperately have to take a piss, but there's no bathroom for like 2 hours or something like that. And you finally, in Bloodborne or whatever, you finally get to the lantern and all these runes they've been carrying. You can finally just get rid of them, or these blood echoes, whatever they want to call it. Yes, but this is a site of grace that you didn't actually need too long. This is Mohg Light.
Yeah,
this is Mohg 99 calories.
Yeah, because you texted me and I was like, I have a feeling something big is coming. And what did I say? I said like, oh, it's Mohg. Mohg's dead.
Yeah.
One of the more confusing lore side bosses, I think.
What I think is very telling about this Mohg is that he disappears into those little like gold particles.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing that happens with Margit the Fell Omen. Same thing that happens with Godfrey. They call him Goldfrey, the first one in Leyndell.
Yeah.
And who is sending it isn't 100%. I have a feeling it is just Morgott. Because if you come down here and defeat this Mohg before you defeat Morgott up top, you can even defeat Mohg and there'll be a seal saying sealed by Morgott behind there.
Yeah.
Or it is Mohg sending a projection of himself there.
So that they don't know he's elsewhere.
Possibly. Or he also is invested in keeping that door locked. I think it's more so like Mohg wants it locked, Morgott wants it locked. Almost everybody doesn't want you to find what's down there.
So that would mean that Morgott knows what his brother's up to.
Yeah.
With the three fingers.
There's enough people out there. I think pretty much anytime you're fighting one of those like the Bloody Fingers, they are working with Mohg. They are a part of like the blood cult, whatever they want to call them.
Children of the blood.
The children of the blood. And regardless, it's like a projection of Mohg. There's enough of this in this game, though, where you fight multiple Vikes, multiple Lorettas, and it's just, I think, like a little bit of what Mohg was perfectly like when he was down here. And not where Mohg is now, but like a little isolated snapshot of Mohg in his early years when he was just really into emo music. This is the most...
Is this the point where I make a My Chemical Romance reference?
This is the most My Chemical Romance, I think, boss in the game, maybe.
So give them blood.
Gallons of the stuff. Give them all the... Yeah, he is definitely the hidden track on the Black Parade.
And spurned by his lover. It is his half-brother.
That's Demolition Lovers right there on first album.
Who looks like a child.
Yeah.
I mean, in his defense, he's working very hard to make them not a child.
I saw someone had like drawn a meme. Mohg's like talking to Morgan. He's like, so yeah, he looks like he's young, but he's totally old enough, so it's completely fine. And Morgoth's like, what are we talking about, dude? What the fuck are you? It's okay.
He's actually an 1,100-year-old demigod. Okay.
He's a genius. He's got a lot of good qualities. He's my half brother. Mohg is the reigning lord and hierarch of the coming dynasty of Mohgwyn, or perhaps just a raving lunatic. You can summon the Dung Eater down here. You get the Blood Flame Talons incantation from beating him, as well as the Erd Tree's Favor +1. And I don't think that I did this the first time down here, but the boss arena, after you beat Mohg, if you go behind the altar, there's a door. And I really like what you find behind this door here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Super cool.
I died more times trying to get to the bottom of this drop than I did fighting both the Mohgs. And I'm not even kidding, 35, 45 times I died trying to get down to the bottom. At one point, I turned it off and went for a walk.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, this is the dumbest. I like the platforming in the game. I enjoy it. Like, it's fine. I like it when I am on torrent and I can double jump my way around things. That's fun. This was like, I know where I have to jump.
I can see it. I can't do it.
It is 1 foot away. 1 foot past my maximum jump. Long jump capability.
And then you try and hit run to start, and you accidentally just do the back jump.
Oh. Did you get so pissed off that from the, you know how it's got like the wooden beams, there's like 2 or 3 of them?
I don't fall on those. I don't fall on those anymore. It's when I get to the gravestones that I'll fall.
Well, they have like the little V where it like lands on the platform that's a little wider, so you just jump into the wall and fall straight down.
Yeah.
I got to the point where I was just jumping from like the first one, like I know I got to land on that fucking tombstone that's sticking out of the wall.
Yeah.
So I would just jump from the top and land and then try to get through. But fuck this platform puzzle. I hated it. It's I really dislike this part of the game.
Depending on your build, 100% worth it, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, what do you find at the bottom?
Well, there's a lot you actually find on the way down, too. We have to talk about the Great Caravan. So the Great Caravan, all of our merchant homies, they all once used to live in a Great Caravan. They weren't coming for the wall. They weren't coming for America. They were just these happy merchants in a caravan. And they were persecuted and imprisoned, buried alive down here because somebody said that they were worshiping the flame of frenzy. And whether or not they were, we don't know. Now, there is cut content of Kale. There was a whole quest with Kale where he would be here. And he said the lines of, if they wanted to make us into the bad guys, we decided, yes, we would be the bad guys. And there is a common theory amongst many lore hounds that it is Shabriri who is the one who made the lie. Shabriri is, of course, the one who's trying to get you to go down here to see the frenzied flame. They killed our friend Yura, took over their body.
Oh, that dick.
Yura was a good guy. He's like, oh, it's really unfortunate for me that you know who this body used to belong to.
Yeah. It is awkward.
Yeah, and he immediately, he's trying to convince you to do something. So it's not like, I want chaos to reign supreme. He's like, don't you like your maiden? You don't want to kill her. You don't have to kill her. if you go down there and talk to the Frenzied Flame. So Shabriri is known as the most reviled man in all of history. Wow. What a title.
The Dung Eater exists. They know this, right?
The Dung Eater's got Shabriri's poster on his walls, dude. Someday, dude.
It's like that.
Can you sign this for me?
That Dexter Laboratory meme where they have like the poster on the back of the wall and he's just like, stunt on these hoes.
I don't know which one you're talking.
You don't know which one?
I like Dexter's Lab.
It's in the NBA subreddit all the time.
Oh, no wonder I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I would have thought it would be the one with him with the picture in his locker. I have failed you.
Yeah.
All I know is omelette du fromage. I don't know. That's what I got there. Yeah, he is said to be the first host of the Flame of Frenzy. His eyes were gouged out for the crime of slander. He made some great lie, and they caused him to. That's what they gouged his eyes out for it. And a lot of people believe that Shabriri lied that the Great Caravan was worshiping the Flame of Frenzy because he also knew if they were down there and locked up, you needed like a giant shitstorm sacrifice to cause something to happen. And it's sad. I mean, you see hundreds of these merchants all just like sitting very close together, and a few of them are still alive, very emaciated, just like mindlessly playing their songs. And that's horror. That's fucking horror right there.
It's super heartbreaking. It also completely changes the context of hearing them play while you're looking for them in the overworld.
Yeah, that's the theme song for Elden Dogs, what we have playing at the opening. And it's for our dead homies and our ones that are still alive but very much not there.
I've said it on the podcast before.
That's what Tom is doing. He's one of these.
He's the one playing, sitting with his legs over the side, just all sad.
He's just doing covers of
Bare Naked Ladies.
Sure.
There we go.
Yeah.
I've said it before on the podcast. Some of my favorite moments are when you come across the next region and you get that nice landscape view. Like after you beat Godric the Grafted. Did I get his name right this time?
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck yeah, I'm learning. And then you come out of the castle and you can see the academy.
Yeah.
You see the entire Learning of the Lakes. And you're
breathtaking.
Like, I know exactly where I need to be going. Shit like that gets me super pumped. But they take the same concept here and they shrink it down to this claustrophobic room where when you go in past the altar, you hang a right and it's just boom. Like it's just, if it was a movie, it was shot perfectly because there's like one little walkway with all the bodies and it is just horrifying.
Just creeping horror as you walk down.
But the game is so good at making these little snapshots of like, it just kind of, I'm in awe of it sometimes where you're like, holy shit, this is crazy.
This area, they have a few of the caravan that are just sitting there playing music. Some are just staring off into space, and some are wandering around still like shooting frenzy out of their eyes. And there are items hidden here behind like some of these like wooden barriers. You have to lure them over to shoot the Flame of Frenzy at the wood behind you to get these items. This is how you get the Nomad armor, the Sheppo finery and trousers, all very cool stuff. Decorated with tiny gems in a wide spectrum of colors, these merchants once thrived as the Great Caravan. They were accused of heretical beliefs. Then they chanted a curse of despair and summoned the Flame of Frenzy. You also get a Frenzied cookbook, and I think most interestingly, you get a note for Miquella's needle. Now, there is an explanation of how to do almost everything in this game. They're not fucking going to make it easy to find, but so I think this is also like a counter argument that they like. I don't think that the caravan necessarily were obsessed maybe with the Flame of Frenzy when they were put down here, because there's a note that clearly must have been made by them on how to get a needle that would resist the influence of the outer gods. They say if you want to get rid of this, go find Miquella's needle, which we were dealing with Miquella at the Halig Tree last episode. So there is a note down here, but then you drop down 1,000,000 gravestones, you die 1,000 times, and you fall through the floor, and then you land into the audience chamber. For the Three Fingers, we can talk a little bit about Hyetta. Sweet Hyetta.
Oh.
Yeah. So if we go all the way back to the Weeping Peninsula, we saw Edgar, the Castellan. He's like, I got a daughter, but I'm more concerned with fighting for the duty of Godric, you fucking moron.
By the way, you see my giant sword?
Yeah. Edgar leaves his blind daughter out in the lands between. Not a smart move.
Typically not a safe place to be when you have armor, your sight, and a ton of ways to defend yourself.
And she doesn't have armor, sight, or a way to defend herself.
Yeah, because she's fucking blind.
But she gets killed, and it's heavily hinted at that when Irina dies, she becomes Hyetta. Same model. And if you kill her earlier or like do something, some things wrong with the Edgar quest, you don't get Hyetta at all. Hyetta then shows up though after you beat Godric, and she's like, I love grapes. Give me grapes. She keeps talking about how she's blind, but she sees this flame in the back of her eyes. Fucking weird.
All right, Cyclops, like, calm down.
Yeah.
X-Men. X-Men reference. For a second, I was worried you guys were going to think like One-Eyed, and I was like, no, X-Men, like Cyclops.
Does Cyclops describe that's how he feels his vision?
I would imagine it's probably the same thing.
Okay. I don't know.
I mean, all she really needed was a dope pair of sunglasses.
I hear Cyclops is a cool character. I feel like the movies did him wrong.
They did. In the comics, he's pretty badass.
Well, she is not Cyclops, but she feels this flame of frenzy in the back of her eyes. You give her Shabriri grapes. Shabriri grapes named after, of course, this horrible monster. And yes, these are eyeballs oozing with the flame of frenzy. She wants to eat them. She doesn't know they're eyeballs at first. She finds out later, throws up a little bit, and much like our friend here, Blythe, will keep having more Shabriri grapes because they taste good.
Or because she's obsessed with anything that'll give her sight of any kind.
Yeah, this is just her like only thing. Her only mission is she sees this flame and she wants to become a maiden, a finger maiden. She doesn't, I think, realize at first that she will become a finger maiden for the flame of frenzy, but she thinks this is what she has to do. Eventually, she asks for a fingerprint grape, which would be an eyeball from somebody that has been hugged by the three fingers. Only one person we know about fits this description. That's the festering fingerprint Vike, our homie from the cover of the game. And we fought him up in an Everjail in the mountaintops of the Giants. See, this lore, it just burns into my brain. It's crazy. I like it.
That one was super fun. Like, you go up and you find the jail, you open it, it's like, oh, hey, it's this dude. It's like, wait, who is this dude? You go and you look, and it's like, oh, that's the dude who got closest to ever doing what I'm actively trying to do. Yeah, let's fight him.
Well, and what's going on with Vike, in my opinion, there's a lot. So I think that he did run into Shabriri, and Shabriri said, do you not, like, you shouldn't sacrifice your maiden. We want to do the right thing here.
Yeah.
And because Vike does, like, care for his maiden, it's talked about multiple times, and I believe it is Vike's maiden in Liurnia, the lakes, that his, like, apparition or his, like, past self is guarding.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
And yeah, which one is that? The Chapel of Inhibition?
maybe. The Chapel of Prohibition is where we should all go worship sometimes. Or never. But Vike had an audience with the three fingers. He got down here. And what I think happened, though, is that it was an imperfect grasp because his armor has the fingerprint burns, and you can't be wearing armor in there. So the fact that his armor is burnt means he was like, he's a never nude or something. He blew it.
That's what you get for ascribing to the Mandalorian way. Take your freaking armor off, dude.
This is not the way. I am not getting naked to get hugged by some three hairy wigglers in there.
Oh.
But I also think that he was worried then to go up to the forge because he wasn't sure if it would, like, maybe cause the end of the world. So he locked it. I think he locked himself up in that Everjail. Maybe. That's my theory.
Or his maiden did it and then went and killed herself in the church.
Either way,
Considering
I'm
the
into it.
response, like,
I like it.
You're like depriving them of what they believe is their one duty, right? To be sacrificed to burn the tree.
Well, Melena's a different case, though.
I suppose.
Yeah, Melina is probably an offspring of Marika and one of Radagon, probably. Because she seems to be aligned with Mikola and Melania. They all have like butterflies kind of associated with them. There's a lot of hints, but yeah. So Vike, we go kill Vike and get his eyes. And we say, here you go, eat this eye. And she says, this is great. Thank you so much. I love eating weird eyeballs. That's literally the dialogue. And after this, she will be down there in the audience chamber. And she has this great dialogue. First, Melina will say, don't you fucking go in there. She's been warning you the whole time. Like, I will be so upset. And if you go in there, she straight up says, I will murder you. Goodbye forever. Fuck you. And yeah, I showed you that right before we started.
What did she say? Like, as sure as the sun follows the moon, I'll murder you or some crazy shit like that?
My death will follow. Like, I will... The way the moon follows the sun, I will find you and murder you or something like that.
Yeah.
And there is a hidden ending, which is great, associated with the Flame of Frenzy, because you can get the Flame of Frenzy before or after the Forge of the Giants. So it's possible you've already burned Melina, and then you go with the Flame. But if you do it before, Melina will show up at the end of the game. And she's pissed, and she kind of reveals herself to possibly be the Glowmite Queen, because her eyes open up and different pupil there. But Melina says, don't go in there. We go in there. We take our clothes off. We're like, I'm down to party. I don't fucking care.
Yeah, I put my keys in the bowl and I strut right in.
She says, don't go in there. Tyler's like already taking his pants off. I'm a yes man.
I'm a yes man. I see it, I do it.
Say yes to everything.
I don't want to offend the Three Fingers by not letting them grab me. I will get myself into awkward sexual situations.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Just hang tight.
So Tyler got drunk, got hugged by 3 hairy wigglers.
Yeah, I got some cool tattoos.
But Hayeta, then afterwards, you're able to go up to her and you touch her head with the Flame of Frenzy, and she's able to like convey the thoughts of what the Frenzied Flame was thinking. And she says, all that there is came from the one great. Then came fractures and births and souls, but the greater will made a mistake. Torment, despair, affliction, every sin, every curse. Everyone born of the mistake, and so what was borrowed must be returned, melted all away with the yellow chaos flame, until all is one again. So, the 3 fingers are these 3 fingers. The 2 fingers are these 2 fingers. And together, they make a whole hand. It sounds silly to say out loud, but like that's what's going on here. I mean, to me, the one great was like the one, and then they fractured and they became 2 different things. Way back, we had like, what the Big Bang or whatever the start of it all was. And as soon as you introduce the mayhem of consciousness and life into the universe, you are also introducing these suffering, despair, pain, sin. And so the Frenzied Flame just kind of wants to get rid of all of that extra shit and just take it back to the beginning. And that's what's going on, in my opinion, there. And if you want to, like Placidusax we mentioned before, Placidusax is cool. It's a 5-headed dragon that has had 3 of the heads cut off. And Placidusax is supposed to be the first Elden Lord. But also, they say Godfrey's the first Elden Lord. So there's just like some weird time shit there. But I think it's also related to like the fact that they have 2 heads. It means that they have like, maybe they were like one of the first great beings that was split into this, and they got rid of those. There's some weird cross symbolism there, but
Well, I thought that was part of the Great Dragon War, when the Golden Order was formed in opposition to the Crucible and like their natural magics, their chaos magics. The Golden Order and then Godfrey and his Crucible Knights basically like went to war against the dragons to try and take over or end their version of magic.
And But Placiduous Sax was before, I believe.
Before even that.
Before even that. The first, I think this was an Elden Lord way back in the day when dragons were just the supreme rulers. I've even seen theories that Farum Azula was where the battlefield of Caelid, of Radon, like it used to be there, and then it was just like sucked off into a storm up into the sky, there's like this big gaping area there, which I like, but yeah, that's the only like real hole in my knowledge right now is Farum Azula, and I'm excited to talk about that in a few episodes, but no, the Frenzied Flame is just trying to kill literally everything and let chaos reign supreme again. With no life, there is no suffering. It's a classic villain from a lot of movies.
To burn it all down.
Yeah.
Why not? This has nothing to do with anything, but I wanted to tell you about it.
Yeah.
I'm actually writing a Elden Ring based D&D campaign for my friends, and it's set in the aftermath of the Lord of Frenzy.
Okay.
So the lands between corrupted by the flame of frenzy as
And-
everything like succumbs to madness.
I think Melina has to be a main character.
Oh, she is.
I like that. I like that.
I'm not certain, but I think I'm planning on making like the big baddie, the end boss, be the player character from the game, the new Lord of Frenzy.
Be Still My Heart. Beautiful. I'm there for that. And also, Bach should be a boss if he's still alive. At least in my game.
Just mad
At
Bach.
least in my game.
Yeah. Mad Bach. Doppelbach, they'll call him.
The Bockelganger.
So Hyetta then she dies after she says this stuff, but it's interesting to hear direct words from what the Three Fingers spoke to her. And there is a hidden passage here, another one out of this way to drop down to the Deeproot Depths. That's not the way we're going to go now. We're going to go. We're going to keep going to the Mohg Palace. I wasn't sure if we'd have enough time, but we're just going to keep talking about the Lord of Blood here. How do you get to the Mohg Palace, you might ask? There's one very easy way in the consecrated snowfields if you get that far. The other way is by white-faced Vare. I'm fairly certain he's the one who killed our maiden. That is my belief at the beginning of the game. So as soon as you walk out from the first step, he's like, "Oh, you're so maidenless, maidenless."
Loser.
And he really drives that point home and likes to call you out on it. And when you kill him later in the game, he says something about like, he uses the term maidenless as you're dying. To me, he's the one who killed the maiden. It's not 100% sure, but someone killed our maiden at the beginning of the game, which is why we had Melina come and offer herself.
Well, I always assumed it was Godric, given that there was a grafted scion left behind.
Yeah, but
I had assumed he had sent the scion to kill her, and hopefully us.
it's either or, I think. I think there's enough evidence for both. This most recent playthrough, to me, it's a lot of context clues and the way something feels.
Yeah.
And when I killed Vare this time and he was like just ranting off about how I'm still a maidenless scum or something like that,